Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Dunnavant, and I'm the executive pastor at First Presbyterian Church, Greensboro. I'm here in my study today for the 6 p.m. Vespers service on Wednesday night that we normally have, and we're doing still a series on the parables. And I have chosen, perhaps unwisely, one of the most difficult of all of Jesus' parables. In fact, many commentators who have far more biblical knowledge than I do have chosen to avoid commentating on this parable because it is so darn complicated. But I have some ideas, so please join with me in thinking about this parable. It is found in both Matthew and Luke, and I'm going to be needing to look down some at my notes and my text because it's found in Matthew chapter 12, verses 43 to 45, and then a parallel in Luke chapter 11, verses 24 to 26. And I'm reminding some of you who are new to the Bible that Matthew, Mark, and Luke are all considered very similar Gospels, though Mark is considered the first one that was written and the oldest one, but they all three contain many similar stories. And so I'm going to choose to focus more on Matthew because it, I think, is just a little bit clearer. So it goes like this. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it wanders through waterless regions looking for a resting place, but it finds none. And then it says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds it empty, swept, and put in order. And then it goes and brings along 7 other spirits more evil than itself. And they enter and live there, and the last state of that person is worse than the first. So it will be also with this evil generation. So it's about casting out demons and unclean spirits. And this is another really good example of a text where it does help a lot to look at what came right before this passage and what comes after it. And it seems like the main focus is this, that Jesus has come with a very, very important message, and some people are really taking it seriously, are very excited, considering it good news, and other people are skeptical, doubtful, they're just not buying it, they're not sure if they should believe it or not, and some of them are just clearly going about their own lives and not repenting or turning to God. And so Jesus is upset. And he's saying, I'm bringing something incredibly important, and there are people who are not listening. And one of the verses right before this that comes in Matthew, where he says, the queen of the south will rise up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it because she came from the ends of the earth to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. And see, something greater than Solomon is here. He's talking about the Queen of Sheba, who's thought to have been from Ethiopia, and she came all the way from Ethiopia to study under King Solomon, the third great king of Israel, who was the son of David. And so he's saying, my gosh, the Queen of Sheba came all the way from Ethiopia, and I'm greater than that, and you're not paying any attention to me. And so in most cases with these parables, it's really not a good idea to take them too literally. And I think this one, too, is an example of that. It's also true that it's typically more about one particular point that he's trying to get across. And so follow me with this, because I think what he's trying to get across is something about being full with God, and that if your unclean spirit is taken out of you, and then you have an opportunity to fill it with God. But if you don't, then you're going to end up worse off than you were in the beginning. So maybe listen to the story one more time and see if it makes more sense. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, okay, so you could say that's like someone who has repented, who's made a fresh start. who's had some bad things come out of them. It wanders through waterless regions looking for a resting place, but it finds none. And it says, "Oh, I think I'll return to my old house." And when it comes, it finds it empty, swept, and put in order. And then it goes and brings along 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and live there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first, and so will it also be with this evil generation. Now, in most cases, if you think of something where you say that it finds it empty, swept, and put in order, that sounds like something positive. But I could, of course, be wrong about this, but I think that what Jesus is saying is it's empty. It hasn't been filled with the things of God, and therefore it's susceptible to going down the wrong path still, heading down the wrong path. Now, let's look at what comes right after this parable. Verse 46 of chapter 12 of Matthew. While he was still speaking to the crowds, his mother and his brothers were standing outside, wanting to speak to him, and someone told him, "Look, your mother and your brothers are standing outside wanting to speak to you."